Hello.
We're in southern New Mexico at White Sands National Park, and it is a unique area with 275 square miles of white sand dunes.
The sand here is pretty unique because it's basically gypsum that's leached out of the mountain range that's next door. So it's different than like when you think of like beach sand. It's a lot finer, a lot cooler, but it also gets a lot harder. So there's parts that feel like set concrete and parts that just feel like powdered sugar.
We went off exploring barefoot, and it's great when it's the fine sand, but the rough is, you're definitely gonna want your shoes.
Yeah.
There's one 8-mile road that runs through the park, and it is part paved, and then the pavement ends, and the road is just sand. You can access a couple of different trails. There's a bunch of short trails off of that road, parking areas, and you can also venture off into the dunes to explore and to try out some sledding.
So it's just a park of sand, sand, and more sand.
It's beautiful. In addition to a couple of short trails, there's one longer trail in the park, and there's a picnic area, and there are actually 10 backcountry sites. There's no other camping in the park, but there are 10 backcountry sites where you can hike in. There's a set trail you can hike in and camp at one of those sites if you get a permit. One thing that's important to know when you come into the park is that there is no water in the park, so you have to either get at the visitor center or bring in whatever you need.
Another thing that makes this park unique is that the White Sands Missile Range is pretty much neighbors and shares the space with the park. So at times the road in the park is closed because they're testing missiles.
So we came out to the sand dunes to see the sunset tonight and to try some sledding.
So both were kind of I wouldn't say a bust, but
It wasn't the best sunset we've seen. We'll see how it looks in time lapse, but yeah, and sledding was slow.
Yeah. It's probably great if you're a kid.
Yeah.
It's not that fast. Granted, we didn't wax our sled, which is recommended.
So it might have been better. You have to find a pretty steep dune to get enough momentum to overcome the sand, but it was pretty fun.
Yeah, I recommend like a 90-degree angle to get a good sled.
Maybe straight up and down.
I know.
Oh, okay.
I'm aware.
So we're on the Playa trail. It's just 1,200 feet down to some temporary lakes, which right now are empty. But I guess during the summer season, there are summer rains, and these will fill up and be sort of like an oasis for some of the critters that live here.
So now we're on the boardwalk in White Sands, which is basically just a 2,000-foot boardwalk over the sand. Makes it accessible to everyone and kind of has interpretive signs along the way to help you know what you're seeing.
We're on the Dunes Nature Trail now. It's a mile-long trail that teaches you about the plants and animals that live out here in this unique environment. There's roadrunners, and there are kit foxes, and there are some neat lizards and mice. I doubt that we're going to see any of those in the middle of the day, but we've seen some tracks around, and the plants are on full display anyway.
So it's late afternoon, we're heading out on the Alkali Flats Trail.
It's really the only longer trail in the park. It's about 5 miles and sort of goes out into the farthest area that you can go into the park. So we're about a quarter mile from the car now, but the sun is getting ready to set, and we thought that we would stop and enjoy that before we finish out the hike.